Welcome back, everyone. Happy New Year. You've been asking for a new Black Panther to show up. It sounds like a new Black Panther is coming. Marvel is casting a new version of Black Panther, apparently, for Avengers 5 Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, in the Black Panther 3 movie, leading to a whole lot of follow-up questions like, which version of T'Challa is it going to be? Are they bringing someone from the multiverse to replace Chadwick Boseman's version in the MCU? Or are they straight up just recasting someone inside the MCU and using Secret Wars as a way to hand-wave and explain why he looks different all of a sudden? Because apparently they've already reached out to an actor to play the role, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Given everything that Marvel's been doing the last couple of years, I did not expect them to try and recast T'Challa, so the news that they might be doing that is actually a pretty huge deal. Everybody's been posting all the Robert Downey Jr. memes, like as long as Marvel doesn't try to recast Black Panther with Robert Downey Jr. like they're doing with Doctor Doom, I think we'll be okay. But I think since the news broke, we learned a little bit more about what Marvel is doing to handle this, because it's something that a large portion of the fan base has been asking for since Chadwick Boseman passed away. May he rest in power. One of the big things that his family has been saying since he passed away is that he would have wanted the Black Panther character to continue after his death, so he didn't have a problem with them actually recasting the role if that is what Marvel is trying to do. When the actual news dropped a couple days ago, the way everybody was wording it, they made it sound like it would be a straight-up recasting. This is the way the actual original quote goes. With Marvel reshuffling the deck in advance of Avengers Doomsday, in Avengers Secret Wars, in Robert Downey Jr. coming back not as Iron Man, but as Doctor Doom, the door is firmly open to be recast via the magic of the multiverse. An actor was actually offered the role this past fall, a couple of months after Robert Downey Jr.'s big reveal at Comic-Con that he would be returning as Doctor Doom. But that new Black Panther actor turned the role down, not wanting to jeopardize their career momentum by stepping into Chadwick Boseman's gigantic shoes, which may be too big to fill. Basically meaning that the actor that they reached out to was just afraid that whatever he did wouldn't be as good as Chadwick Boseman, and he would disgrace himself and Chadwick Boseman's memory, so like he didn't even want to try. But that all does sound like the people reporting this are saying that it will be a straight-up multiverse Black Panther twist, where another original T'Challa Black Panther will come to the MCU permanently by Secret Wars to replace Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther in the MCU going forward after Secret Wars. Meaning that he'd effectively take the mantle from Shuri instead of them just aging up his son T'Challa Jr. and having him take the mantle. Which I think a lot of us were expecting based on the plot of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It seemed like that was the whole point of the movie, to explain that he did have a child who was also named T'Challa, so it was Marvel's way of having their cake and eating it too, and not trying to dishonor the legacy of Chadwick Boseman. Like, they wanted to have a T'Challa Black Panther, but they didn't want to recast at the time, so the only way for them to make it all make sense without just straight up recasting him was to have a child with the exact same name so that you could just call him T'Challa Black Panther. He would just have a little junior at the end of his name that people would conveniently forget about so that people would just think of him as the main Black Panther, T'Challa. But based on all this news, at least the way the people are reporting it, if they are correct, it seems like Marvel is just doing all this logic hand-waving by saying that this new Black Panther will be from another universe, because so much of Avengers 5 Doomsday and Secret Wars are based on wrapping up the multiverse saga movies, based largely on the time runs out and more recent version of Secret Wars in the comics. That's kind of the gist, the vibe of what the Russo brothers said in the big Comic-Con announcement of Robert Downey Jr. and themselves coming back to do the movies. They're going to make a lot of changes to those comic book arcs to make them fit with what the MCU movies have already done, like basically close down all the plot that they've already done with the current multiverse arc. But a lot of you will remember what Kevin Feige literally said right after Chadwick Boseman passed away about the way they'd handle Black Panther going forward.
I wanted to acknowledge the devastating loss of a dear friend and member of the Marvel Studios family. Chadwick Boseman was an immensely talented actor and an inspirational individual who affected all of our lives, professionally and personally. His portrayal of T'Challa the Black Panther is iconic and transcends any iteration of the character in any other medium from Marvel's past. And it's for that reason that we will not recast the character. However, to honor the legacy that Chad helped us build through his portrayal of the King of Wakanda, we want to continue to explore the world of Wakanda.
So unless Kevin Feige has changed his mind or Disney made him change his mind, reading between the lines here, I think the only way for them to introduce a new version of T'Challa is to use the multiverse or age his son up dramatically. There's still a lot of people out there that are torn about what this news release actually means because it only says new T'Challa Black Panther. It doesn't specifically say that they're getting rid of his son or what they're doing with his son. So it is totally possible that the people reporting this news are just confused when it says they're casting a new T'Challa Black Panther. They could just be recasting an older version of his son. Based on what the director Ryan Coogler and the Marvel producers working on Black Panther 3 have said about that movie in the past, and we literally just started talking about it a couple weeks ago because there was all this news from Kevin Feige confirming that they were making Black Panther 3. Based on everything that they've been talking about the past couple years, I still believe that Black Panther 3 will not be a big multiverse trope movie like Deadpool and Wolverine relied heavily on the multiverse. I think it'll be more of an MCU Earth-based movie like the previous Black Panther movies were, with loose ties to the other Marvel movies, but largely it will deal mostly with a separate plot, a little more self-contained, in the way that all Black Panther movies have been more self-contained than the other movies. Meaning that they do want this to be a multiverse Black Panther coming in to replace T'Challa. They'd bring him into the main MCU during Secret Wars, then he permanently takes the mantle of Black Panther during Black Panther 3 after all the crossover story is done and everybody has gone home. I still think that they're not planning to release it till right after Secret Wars so that they don't have to deal with a lot of the multiverse stuff, maybe just like loose ties, sort of the way that the first Black Panther movie had to reference the events of Captain America Civil War in like the opening minutes of the film. Like a lot of really crazy stuff just happened with the multiverse, but now we're more focused on problems with and around Wakanda, and we have this new version of Black Panther. All the talk of Marvel reshuffling their deck and using that as an excuse to introduce this new version of Black Panther is also parlance for the soft reboot of the MCU that Marvel's been planning on doing. Even as recent as a couple years ago, people inside Marvel were saying that they would be using Secret Wars as a big event to retune everything with the MCU that wasn't working, that they didn't like the past couple years, fix any of the mistakes that they'd actually made, recast actors that they wanted to recast, and simplify a lot of the continuity of the movies and shows, characters' backstories, so that going forward, all the Marvel characters, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Avengers, all the mutants, everybody existed on the same Earth this whole time, and you didn't need a wild multiverse explainer to make it all work, or watch 100 movies just to explain everybody's plot going forward. One of the easiest TLDR Cliff's Notes versions of explaining this whole thing is DC TV with their Crisis on Infinite Earths. You probably remember this a couple years ago when it all went down. I did a whole bunch of videos about that. Right after that went down, Cisco had a great quote trying to sum up the way DC TV had soft rebooted their main universe.
An infinite number of Earths experienced a cosmic heat death, so now, not only do Superman, Supergirl, and Black Lightning live here, but now our entire timeline has been rewritten so that they've always lived here, and I don't remember owning this shirt.
Marvel's version won't be exactly like DC TV because they don't want to be viewed as copying something from another TV show in another cinematic universe. But it is kind of similar in the fact that Avengers Doomsday is meant to collapse the Marvel multiverse, which they did during Crisis, and Secret Wars is meant to eventually remake it, which they also did at the end of Crisis. My assumption before all this recasting news was that everybody reporting it was just mistaken, like I said, about which T'Challa Marvel was casting for, and they would just bring in an older version of his son with like a totally different actor. Regardless, though, I do think we will see a multiverse Black Panther show up during Secret Wars. It just feels like too juicy of an opportunity for them to have. They actually did this with a version of Kilmonger in another universe during the first couple seasons of What If. He was meant to be a darker, evil version of Black Panther. The one in the MCU is just stabbier, like the one from the multiverse was way, way worse. So if we see another multiverse one show up during Secret Wars, I think they don't want to dishonor the legacy of Black Panther that much, and whoever does show up will be a good version of the character helping the heroes. But I think because of everything they did with Black Panther Wakanda Forever in that version of Killmonger in the Ancestral Plane, in all the multiverse Killmonger stuff they did during What If, is why the multiverse Black Panther that they might be bringing back won't just be another version of Killmonger. All these reports don't clarify exactly how Marvel is going to handle all this multiverse Black Panther stuff between Avengers 5, Secret Wars, and Black Panther 3. My assumption is that we'll only see them during Secret Wars, and then they'll just come to the main MCU and be the main Black Panther, whoever it does wind up being, either an original T'Challa from another universe or the aged-up version of his son. And what they'll do is they'll just let Shuri be the main Black Panther still in Avengers 5. Then, like, over the course of Secret Wars in that next Black Panther movie, she will pass the mantle to whoever this new T'Challa is. You might remember Doomwar from the comics. They're not doing that in the MCU, but during that storyline, Doctor Doom tries to invade Wakanda to steal all their vibranium to upgrade his Doombots and himself. That was actually the storyline where Shuri had just become the new main Black Panther, and she had to deal with it as Black Panther because T'Challa had been attacked and almost killed by the Cabal. But he was still alive during that, and after Doomwar, he eventually came back and retook the mantle of Black Panther from her. So it sounds like whatever Marvel's plan was a couple years ago when they made her the main Black Panther in Wakanda Forever, they never fully planned on her always being the main Black Panther going forward, just having it for a little while, then passing it on to the next T'Challa. So everybody let me know in the comments if you'd rather see a multiverse T'Challa show up in Secret Wars than just stay in the MCU and become that new main Black Panther going forward, or would you just rather they age up his son T'Challa Jr. in Secret Wars and he takes the mantle? All the reports about the actor Marvel went to and turned the role down say that he didn't want to hurt his career momentum, made it sound like it was a younger actor, like somebody in their 20s or early 30s who's still viewed as an up-and-comer. Chadwick Boseman, by comparison, was about 38, 39 when he became Black Panther in Captain America Civil War, so this would mean that Marvel's trying to introduce a younger Black Panther, but not a teenager, like not that young. It would be another adult T'Challa. There's also the whole plot point of his son. If they do recast and they don't just make his son an older version of the character and make him Black Panther, then they'll have to explain what the relationship is between this new alternate version and his original son is. Like, you're kind of my father, but you're not the exact same father. What Marvel tends to do in situations like this is literally just hand wave and never fully explain stuff. So don't dig too deeply into it. Just keep in mind that Marvel will probably just hand wave over a lot of this stuff. Currently, Denzel Washington is coming back in Black Panther 3. He's already spoiled that a couple times himself. Thank you so much for joining the Spoiler Bros. I've already been saying that his son in real life, John David Washington, would make a solid Black Panther if he wanted the role, but there are several current actors in Hollywood that would make great Black Panthers, so everybody just post who you want to be that new T'Challa Black Panther in the comments. I'll do more videos about this when we hear more about this new version of Black Panther. He might not show up until Secret Wars, like I said. I think they still want Shuri to be the main Black Panther till at least Avengers 5. She's actually meant to be a plot point during Captain America Brave New World 2. She's the one that gives the vibranium wingsuits to Sam Wilson's Captain America. Gotta get all that vibranium from somewhere. We're also supposed to get a new Daredevil Born Again trailer soon. Episodes for that will start in March. Of course, I will do all the Daredevil episodes. It'll be just like old times with the Daredevil Netflix series. Cannot wait for it. Those new Spider-Man episodes are starting in a couple weeks. I'll be doing episode videos for that too. And we're probably going to get that new Fantastic Four trailer during the Super Bowl. So be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Everybody click here for that new Daredevil trailer, and click here to learn about the canceled Chris Evans movie that Marvel was going to do right after Avengers Endgame. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.